Thank you for being here. If you're new to joining the stream, my name is Amanda, and every Sunday I stream at 3:30. And as I've developed this stream, I initially started with private clients on a private stream. So we're transitioning some clients over from the private stream to the public stream. So if you're watching this in a recap later, there'll be a bit of a brief pause, and this is not going to be something consistent that you're going to need to account for, but today it is. So thank you for being patient and bearing with us. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. And thank you for extending grace if we have any interruptions. Hopefully we won't, but just tossing that out there. Okay, so for our stream today, we're going to be working on some key concepts: standing strength, foot strength, contralateral movements, which is really good for neuroplasticity, and you might also discover that along the way, some of the work that we do in this practice will have some yoga overtones to it, but it won't all be yoga, and for some of us that's really good news. So like to start all of our time together with some breathing. So find your way into a comfortable position and take some good slow deep inhales and exhales. So inhale and exhale, right? And this is also really helpful when you're coming in to do something and you have lots of external things coming at you, right? Super helpful. If you got your phone near you, you can put it on airplane mode. And just, that's it, right? It's just no distractions. Inhale, exhale. Real easy. Inhale, exhale. I'm doing the same. Practice what I preach. Inhale. Exhale. And make the breath be loud when you get started. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. All right, now soften and quiet your breath. So make your breath soundless. No vibration, no humming. What this is going to accomplish for you is it's going to force you to slow down your breath. So inhale and exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Breath is the beginning of everything that we do. And what you'll notice after just a minute or two of conscious breathing is you're more present. And then the last thing we want to do before we get started is fully focus on being present. So as you exhale, I want you to let go of anything that you brought in with you. And as you inhale, I want you to fill up. Hold your breath. Lift your chest. And as you exhale, let everything go. Start to circle your head. So we're warming up the neck. And circle your head the other way. And if you could release yogic breathing, please. And then circle your head the other way. Josie, let go of the yogic breathing. And then roll your spine back and through. And this is just feeling your spine. You can add some arm movement here. Reach the arms in front of you. Squeeze the arms behind you. How can you find more articulation in the spine? We can become very, very unconscious in our movement patterns, even in our breath patterns. We might not even realize that we only breathe one way, or we only know how to move one way. That's a limitation, right? Take the arms overhead. Weave your fingers together. Flip your palms and press them away. Look up at your fingers. Reach your fingers further back. Look behind your fingers. Good. Bring your head forward. Bring your arms in front of you. Fold your fingers down and make fists. Squeeze your fists. And start to circle your squeezed fists. Wrist strengthening. Got to open a jar of pickles. You want to have strong hands, strong wrists. Open your palms. Press down on the front of your hand, just above your fingers, and gently pull back. Notice if your arm is bent, extend the arm. Stretch your wrist. Move your thumb away from you. Good, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So extend the arm. Also notice if you're bringing the arm down below the shoulder or up above the shoulder in the same angle as your shoulder. Straight, so soft or no bend at the elbow. Pull back on your fingers and move your thumb away from you. And then circle your fingers in, spider your fingers, and circle your wrist one more time. Good, so if you're sitting, you can stay sitting. If you're on a chair, you can stay on a chair. Touch your left, this leg with this hand. push down on that leg with that hand and use that to help rotate and turn your spine. And then once you know that this has helped you rotate and turn your spine, take your other hand to your shoulder and pull your shoulder back. So we can even be somewhat limited in our awareness around how to twist the spine. As a person who practices a lot of yoga, I'll just take my hand to behind me and twist my spine. But first, I'm twisting from the hip. Then I'm twisting from the shoulder. Lastly, I'm twisting from the head and the neck. Now I can take my hand that was on my shoulder and bring it somewhere to behind me to help me stay in the twist. And then release. Spinal mobility, twisting the spine, will do the same thing. Take this hand to this leg, twist. Take this hand to this shoulder, twist. So while twisting across the body is going to help force the twist, I don't want you to take your hand across the body. I want you to take your hand, push from knee to opposite hip, and then shoulder, and then lift your head, and the last thing to turn is your neck. And then your hand that's on your shoulder can come to somewhere behind you. And then release. So that's how we lift up through the spine and we turn the spine segment at a time. And then we're going to do that again 2 more times. So first I press at the knee, then I twist from the shoulder, then I twist from the neck, and then I can bring my hand to behind me if I'd like. And then release. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Press at the knee, find the shoulder, twist from the shoulder, head stays lifted, and then hand can release behind you from shoulder, and release. Really nice way to twist the spine, especially if you're used to just twisting the spine. All right, bring your feet to underneath you and make your way up to standing. I'm sitting on a bolster because I like a cushion underneath my backside. Cushions are nice. It's nice to keep pillows and props handy nearby. Bring your hands to your hips and lift your heels high and lower them. Now, if you go to do this and you find yourself struggling with balance, you can reach your arms out as your heels lift and bring your arms back down. Almost like you were swimming through water, or like you were a bird lifting up and down in the air. And this can feel very nice, like you're linking the movement through the entire body. And the next time your arms come up, see if you can keep your heels lifted for just a second longer, and then lower. Just a second longer, and then lower. Starts in our feet. Last time, and lower. Good. Put all of your weight onto your left foot. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Kick your hip out, and then bring your hip underneath you. And notice how that helps you lift from your pelvic floor. Kick your hip out. Feel how your pelvic floor drops. Bring your hip to underneath you. And lift from the pelvic floor. So when we're standing, we want to make sure that we're not kicking our hips out or dumping into the pelvic floor, but we're lifting, core is engaged. And then from here, we're just going to slide the right foot out and slide it back. Slide it out, slide it back. And so the second we cock our hip out and we dump, we put our feet back down. We keep our hip underneath us. Leg slides out and comes back. Why is this important? Because if you're looking at me at home and you're trying to do what I'm doing, you're not really feeling what needs to be happening in your body. So it's not, hey, can I take my leg out and keep my leg lifted? It's, hey, can I feel my pelvic floor stay lifted and engaged while I move my leg out and across? And probably the whole time you've been doing this, you've kept your pelvic floor engaged, and so you've strengthened your pelvic floor. All right, so we'll do this again. Bring your hands to your hips. Put all of your weight onto your right foot. Lift your left foot. Cock your hip out. Bring it under you. Release your foot. Keep the pelvic floor engaged. Glide the foot out. glide it back, glide it out, glide it back. Harder than it looks, right? Interesting, challenging. And in between, if you're just like, you're knocking these sets out, drop your feet again, kick your hip out, pull it back under you, lift the pelvic floor, slide the foot, bring it back under you. Slide the foot, bring it back under you. Where should your gaze be? Your gaze should be at eye height or higher. Eye height or higher. All right, release the feet. Turn your toes out. Lift onto the balls of your feet. Turn your heels out. So toes are slightly turned in. This should feel good on the outside of your legs. You can shift your hips from side to side here. You can circle your hips. Switch directions. Also notice if your toes are trying to lift here, keep your feet down. Once you pass back through to center, turn your toes out again. And one more time, kick your heels out. But we end in a position where our toes are pointed forward. The bony edges of our feet are making the same long line with the short sides of our mats, and our arms come out to the side. Same thing, our hips want to cock. So cock your hip and then bring it under you. What this forces you to do is, again, lift up through the pelvic floor. It creates an isometric contraction. You could step your feet between any kind of space you need to give yourself. So just step your foot through it. All right, now we reach our fingers to one side without moving our hips. And then we reach our fingers back up and to the other side without moving our hips. If we're not conscious about cocking our hips, this can turn into some mobility issues in the low back. Last time, reach over, back through, reach over, back through. So the whole time you're doing this, you should feel pelvic floor lifting. You should feel feet lifting. All right, tap this leg, turn it that way. Tap this leg, turn it that way. Now I want you to bend your back leg, reach over your top leg, and lift. Bend your back leg, reach over your top leg, and lift. You have to use your pelvic floor, your foot strength, and your leg strength. If you're wobbling or falling from side to side, it's highly likely that you have your feet placed too close together, or you have your hips holding in such a way that it will be physically impossible for you to balance. So typically, we want to have the feet a little wider, not on a ski, not on a single ski, but slightly separated, so that when we come forward, we're not unbalanced. And now if I come up, I can drive through my back heel, and I can engage my glute on the way up. And you'll see I'll place my hand on my glute here. I'm driving through the back heel. I can feel my glute engaged, but I have to think about it. So try widening your feet even more. Not wider like this. Wider like this so that you're actually able to balance. Yes, skis, right? Two separate skis, not one ski. On the way up, you use your glute. Front leg stays extended, back leg bends. Back leg bends. And this might mean that you don't come so far forward. Maybe you're only halfway. Driving through the back heel. Driving through the back heel. All right, now point your toes forward. And step your foot that was in front of you over to meet your other foot. then step your feet apart again. And step that foot that was in front of you over to meet your other foot. This is something that a lot of us take for granted, but if you haven't practiced balancing on one foot, moving from one foot to the other, you'll find that this is something that is actually really critically important. Teaches you how to slow down and be confident in your feet and be assured in your footing. So feet are wide again. Tap this leg. Turn it that way. Tap this leg. Turn it that way. And again, my feet are not on a single ski. They're separated. If my feet were on a single ski or close together, it would be very, very, almost impossible for me to fold over my top leg and find balance on the way up. So back leg bends. I drive through the heel and glute engages. I can let my front foot lift. Drive through the heel, engages. Drive through the heel, engages. You could also bend through both legs if you can't keep your top leg straight. And then stay there. Begin to straighten your top leg. Shift your weight back into your back leg. And drive through the heel so you feel your glute fire. Bend both legs. Use your hands to help hinge forward at your hips. Only halfway. Extend your top leg straight. Shift weight back into your back heel and drive through your heel so you recruit your glute. Good. Turn your toes forward and step to your other leg, the leg you hadn't been stepping to, and then step your feet apart again. Could you extend your arms to help you balance? 100%. Could you drag your foot to help you balance? So we're not trying to do this fast. We're not trying to check a box off. We're trying to find balance and confidence as we move. That might mean that you drag your foot or you shorten your stance. I would rather see that than it's not the same thing. You can watch me on the screen and see the difference. This is different than this. I have to use my muscles here. I have to slow down, counterbalancing. Good. All right, keep the feet separated, apart. Keep the arms extended and open the feet a little wider. Put a soft bend in the knees if you need to. Reach the right hand down toward the ground-ish and then back up. And reach the left hand down toward the ground-ish and back up. This is forcing us to use our core strength. It's helping us mobilize our thoracic spine. One more time. Down, up. Last time. Down, up. All right, so if your fingers aren't touching the ground, you can open your feet wider. Arms come out. This time we're going to come across the body toward the opposite leg, down and up. Across the body toward the opposite leg, down and up. 2 more times. Across the body, opposite leg, down and up. Down and up. And last time, down and up. And release the hands. So hopefully you felt your core working there. Your arms are probably a little tired. That's good. We want that. Keep the feet wide. Tap this leg. Point it that way. Tap this leg again. Keep the legs wide, lengthwise on your mat. Step your feet wider. And so I'm going to softly bend the knees. And as I come forward, I bring the belly down to the thigh. I can reach for my triangles if the floor is far away to help me balance here. And then on the way up, I'm using my core strength to come back up. Same thing on the way down, I'm using my pelvic floor strength. I'm also using my glutes all the way down and all the way up. Because my knees are bent, this is not necessarily a pose, but this is a lovely hamstring stretch. All the way down, and last time all the way up. And it's sneaky because your legs are getting stronger every time you do this. Point the toes forward, again, to the long side of the mat. Tap this leg, point those toes that way. Tap this leg, point those toes that way. Soften at both of your knees. What happens when we soften at both of our knees? Bear with me here. What if I was to bend at my knees and bob up and down? I can confidently feel all of the muscles in my lower body trying to turn on here. Where should your head be? Up. Where should your gaze be? Up. All right, so as I hinge forward, I can let my hands guide them down my top bent leg. Both legs are bent. My muscles are working, maybe all the way down to the ground, maybe just to the shin, maybe to my triangles, and core strength back up. Sneaky. A little easier to do though when you keep both legs bent. 2 more times. All the way down. And core strength back up. You can exhale when it's challenging. Exhale. Push through with the breath. Last time, feeling those muscles in the lower half of the body working. All the way down. And all the way back up. Good. Punch your toes forward. So, I can shift my weight from foot to foot, but I never take my foot off the ground. It's like I got one really long toe that's sticking me to the ground, and I can bend into the leg I'm standing on. I can always bend into either or both legs while I'm doing this. Why? To recruit muscles. So now if I bend into both legs and I lower into a squat and then I push up to standing, I have my glutes engaged as I come up, squat, glutes engage, up, squat, up, glutes engage, squat, and hold, arms out in front of you, and pulse, 5, 4, 3, 2. Press up with your hands. When you press up with your hands, your hips are going to push forward and you squeeze your glutes. And then back down. Pulse, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press. Hips forward, squeeze glutes, pull shoulders back. Where should your head be? Up. Last time, arms float out. Pulse, 5. Sit a little lower, 4, 3. Your thighs are firing, 2. 1, when you come up and your arms push through, your glutes are firing. Back here. These turn on. Push them forward. Good. Step your feet together. Swing your arms. Swing them, swing them, swing them. Reach the arms up. Reach the arms down. We're going to roll through the spine. So tuck the chin into the throat. Roll. Head. Soften at the knees. All the way down to your feet. And then roll back up. Keep the chin tucked into the throat. Spinal massage, spinal roll. Stretch the head up and back. Tuck the chin into the throat. Stretch the head all the way back. And last time, roll. And then if you are able to make space, you're going to walk your hands forward and your feet back and find just one inverted V shape. So this inverted V shape, it's got a lot of different names, but we're not really worried about doing anything except getting our hips up and in the air and looking up at our belly button and our hips. Right? If your chin is restricted, you can let your head lift a little. And if your hamstrings are really tight, you can soften at the knees. This pose will make you very strong in your shoulders. It'll also help you feel a lot about what's going on in your hamstrings and your low back. This pose will also create a tremendous amount of strength over time. So what would happen if you put all of your weight onto your left foot and hovered your right foot off of the ground? Just hover it. And then set your right foot down. And what would happen if you put all of your weight on your right foot and you hovered your left foot off of the ground? And set your foot down. We're going to do that one more time. All of your weight on your left foot, right foot hovers or lifts up a little higher. And lower it back down. Same thing, right foot stays, left foot lifts off the ground or a little higher. And lower it down. Release to the knees. Ripple through a couple of rounds of cat and cow. So we did this standing earlier. It's rolling the spine. And then you can find your way down, all the way down onto the ground. We're going to do a little bit of release with the yoga triangle. So if you don't have yoga triangles, you can try this with tennis balls or anything that's got a point that will let you massage or roll into the tissue. So we'll start with neck cramp. If you have any neck pain or you clench your teeth or your jaw, this one is really great. So you'll lower all the way down. You're going to get both triangles at the base of your skull, and you'll turn your head from side to side and you'll massage your occipital ridge. Feels amazing. Side to side, easy, gentle release. It's also important to know when you're doing myofascial release. It's tempting to lift your head and to place your head where you think it belongs, but try to use minimal muscular effort, and this is how you can unwind the muscles. So every time I lift and turn my head, I turn muscles on that I'm trying to release with myofascial release. Also worth mentioning, this is a fairly intuitive practice, and what I mean by that is like there aren't a lot of rules to it. You need to listen, be curious, be slow, and be open. We're not trying to end in a specific place or create a specific thing. We are accessing really incredible tissue. The fascia that's actually designed to protect our muscles and our organs. And so it's not like muscles. It's a stronger tissue than a muscle. It resists impact, tear, and we have to take a different approach in releasing it. One of my favorite things about this variation is if you turn your head gently far enough to one side, you can feel where the jaw attaches at the base of your skull right behind your ear. And I love to let my head rest on this point for a breath or two. on both sides. So I let my head roll back through to center, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. And then use your hands to gently remove the props. This can also be done with tennis balls in a sock, or roll method rubber balls in a mesh bag. Once I did it with an actual softball, which was pretty intense, but basically any kind of gadget that you can get up under the occiput that you're comfortable putting pressure into is an option here for you. All right, notice how your neck feels here. Give your head a gentle turn from side to side. Feels good. And then reduce down to one triangle. So same thing, but just one. And it's different because it's a little more intense. But what I've found about this variation that I like is it forces me to really feel what's happening immediately across the center line of my spine, and I don't tend to focus on one side or the other. Usually one side of my neck is clenchier than the other, so with one, I don't naturally get to pick the side. I'm just there with both at the same time. So you do the same thing. You can gently turn the head. It's a greater intensity. It's definitely a more direct pressure. And I would say this is personal preference. If you like a really deep tissue massage, then you'll probably like the single triangle. All right, let the head come back through to center and remove the triangle. Let the head drop back to the ground. Again, notice. And then grab for both of your triangles and bring them to underneath your sits bones or your tailbone. So we're going to come into an easy legs up the wall, and it might not be easy, but we want to let the legs drain here. The nice thing about this is if you have any discomfort in the low back, this takes a lot of the direct pressure off the tailbone and forces the tailbone to tilt back. So you don't have to do a lot of work here. You could also let the knees bend or soften towards you if that's more comfortable. But we do want, not completely bent, maybe slightly bent. We do want to drain the legs. We're going for a lymphatic drain here. If your feet or your toes get cold or tingly, that's normal. We're draining the blood. But you're welcome to wiggle your toes if it gets to a point where it's uncomfortable for you. A lymphatic drain takes at a minimum 3 minutes. And lymphatic drains and inversions are really, really good for more than just your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system pumps your white blood cells, and the lymphatic system doesn't have a heart to pump the white blood cells, so when you turn upside down, naturally pumps, moves the fluid in the opposite direction. So we're using gravity to help support our white blood cells, which are really important, and also excellent for circulation. All the blood in your legs draining, pulling in the bowl of your pelvis. Lastly, this pose is naturally calming. So if you really know that finding calmness is challenging for you, this is a really smart variation to remember. You can do this in bed before you go to sleep. You can throw your feet up over your headboard, or you can lay down on the ground and rest your legs on your bed. Same thing, it'll help you sleep better if you have any kind of trouble falling asleep. Good. Take one more moment here. And then remove the props from under you. Whew, and you'll feel that blood move back through your legs. That can be a really strange feeling if you haven't felt it before. And then we're going to finish in a reclining hip opener. So this guy's got a lot of different names. Some people call it a butterfly. You can call it whatever, but I'm going to bring my triangles to under my thighs and let my hips release here. My knees are fully supported in this variation. And we're just going to hang out, let the hips release. We did hip mobilization, foot pelvic floor strengthening, a lymphatic drain, foot strength. And now we're going to finish with one last little hip mobility exercise. You can let your hands rest on your belly, and you can check into if you don't know how to belly breathe. Whew, belly breathing is awesome. Most of us breathe into the top of our shoulders during the day because we sit and our shoulders roll forward, especially if you type on a computer. So learning how to belly breathe before you breathe into your shoulders can be really, really relaxing. And also learning how to breathe down into your hips can help you feel a deeper sense of mobility and stretching and release in your hips. So when you inhale, your belly should actually expand up toward the sky. So put your hand on your belly when you inhale, expand your belly. And when you exhale, pull your belly in. Do that again. When you exhale and your belly pulls in, you should also be lifting your pelvic floor. All right, pelvic floor strength, really, really important. So lots of fun breathing exercises today. Go ahead, let your hands help support closing your legs. So bring your hands to your thighs or your knees and use your hands to help push your legs closed. Good, and then take your knees and squeeze one and then the other in toward your body. And give your body a little side to side wobble. And then up to seated. If you want to practice rolling up to seated, you can extend your legs up to the sky, push your heels out toward the bottom of the mat, and see if you can use your core strength to roll you up and then back. So I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, and I'm here. You could also press with your hands to bring you up. And we'll finish in a seated position. If you like practicing mobility, strength, all of these things, and you're doing this for optimal vitality in your life, the one last thing that I would encourage you to do on your own is find a practice where you can sit and breathe and meditate. Those can all be separate things, or you can bring them together. You can sit, breathe, and meditate all at once. I hope that this was helpful. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your patience at the beginning of this segment as we get it started. And I will see you next time. I feel like LeVar Burton. See you next time. All right. Have a good one.